Curious case of Benjamin Button. Indeed, a very curious case of a curious man who seems to age backwards. He comes out of the womb an old man, then he grows into a young man, and eventually into a baby. And that's the movie. Thanks for watching. No, basically this movie directed by David Fincher, who I love. I mean, he's definitely among the top best directors working right now. He's a visual genius. He knows his stories. He knows his characters. And he's always trying something a little bit new. So though he does have an unmistakable style that you can see in his movies, and just by looking at one, you can kind of think, okay, yeah, that's Fincher-esque. He always tries something a little different, like definitely Seven was his breakthrough film, unlike Alien 3, which let's not get into that. You know, heightening your supposed by the numbers serial killer movie by giving it his own style and a gut wrenching ending, of course. With the game, with Michael Douglas, and even something like Panic Room, where he tells a very simple thriller story, but he has so much fun with the camera and uses digital technology and digital camera movements to such great effect that he brings it to a whole other level. And of course, Fight Club. I mean, come on, Fight Club is the best. The best. But this is kind of his Oscar movie. Definitely, you could see why he may have been attracted to this kind of material. Like, it's definitely something a little bit different, because it is like it's kind of like it does seem right from the get go, right from the story, an Oscar type of movie. That is a large scale movie. So I think the large scale of it, but just how kind of odd it is, because it is an odd story. Like, it's loosely based off, from what I hear, loosely based off the F. Scott Fitzgerald novel of the same name. A very curious circumstance of Benjamin Button aging backwards. It's strange. So I think it was that oddity of it, plus the challenge that there was in telling this bizarre kind of story through use of visual effects. So the visual effects in this movie, showing Brad Pitt as the old man in his youth, it's just so well done. It's like, yeah, it's Brad Pitt's face there, and he talks like a little man, almost like Sling Blade, almost. Like, it's really well done. Like, and Brad Pitt gives a great performance in those earlier scenes where he really needs to kind of convey as an elderly man. But I think this movie, it kind of suffers a little bit from trying too hard. Like, it tries to be a deep and whimsical kind of movie, and yeah, like a lot of people compare it to Forrest Gump and kind of jokingly call it the Curious Case of Forrest Gump, which, yeah, I mean, it has elements of that, because one of the screenwriters from Forrest Gump also wrote this, but it's not quite that. I mean, it's definitely a different story in and of itself, though it is kind of one of those journey through history kind of things. But I don't know. I just I do think the movie just tries too hard to be this deep and profound and moving thing, and it doesn't quite earn it, because the characters aren't quite interesting. I mean, I love Kate Blanchett, and I think Brad Pitt he's an icon. He's one of the best actors there is, and of course Fincher, a great director. But I don't know. I almost find it just kind of insulting, not only to like my intelligence, but to like my own sentimentality. Like, I kind of want to like it, and I want to be emotionally moved by it, but it does feel kind of forced. And like, stupid little lesson, like, oh, well, life is the same moving backwards as it is forward, and you have to cherish those little moments, and the symbolism with the clocks. And I just found it kind of in bad taste that they'd frame it with the beginning and ending scenes, and kind of in between, with telling the story basically as Kate Blanchett as an old woman during Hurricane Katrina. Like, I know they probably wanted to give a reference, a historical reference point, but I don't know. And just all these little things. Like, there's that one scene where Benjamin Button is like, oh, well, there's, just all these little things that add up. Like, what if this one lady tied her shoes at one exact point? What if the cab driver didn't stop? Like, no, it's stupid. I don't know. I do think it tries a little bit too hard, and I don't think it quite earns, It's runtime, really. I mean, it's a really, you feel this 3 hours, like something like Forrest Gump. Like it breezes by, and it's only uh, 2 hours and 2 hours 10 minutes maybe. This is close to 3 hours. You feel every minute of this movie. It just drags on and on and on. I'm not a big fan of this movie, to be totally honest. From a visual standpoint, it's great, great special effects and an interesting story, but it's execution, and I think mainly the problem is um, with the story itself. Like, I just feel it's kind of talks down to the audience a little bit. Like, look at these wonderful characters who impact my life and how meaningful they are and how meaningful life is. I don't know. I know a lot of people like this movie too, but I don't like it. It was nominated for Best Picture. It won a whole bunch of awards. It won, for a lot of technical things, for its visual effects, which fair enough for sure. Fincher was nominated, and I'm happy that he was nominated. But I felt maybe The Social Network was the movie that he should have first got a nomination for, because that was more in tune to him, and that was kind of like an Oscar movie of types, but on his own terms. This one, I might as well just say we won Oscars on the cover, because it I don't know, it just feels like a really desperately trying to be this great grand moving picture, but it's not really. I kind of sort of hate it. um, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. I kind of sort of hate it. Derek's review of Benjamin Button. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more.